governance. Good evening, welcome to Business Today.
Thank you for having me.
Indeed, let's talk about your conference and the theme, which emphasizes governance in a transformative era. In practical terms, how does the NICG define transformation, let's say, and how should governance evolve to stay relevant in Namibia?
Okay. I'm going to use what I learned when I did the leadership courses, like transformation. Well, governance has to do with leadership, and the lay definition is taking people from A to B, where B is a better place. Right. And that movement and that change has to do, that's transformation. Okay. And I mean, if we're looking at governance, it has to do with outcomes, right? Whether it's, good performance, legitimacy, and effective control. So if you, in terms of governance, and especially in our country, we're thinking like maybe like, like service delivery, good service delivery, that we have water, that poverty is reduced, that we have, unemployment rates are reduced. So that's transformation, meaning we were here and now we're here where it's better for everyone. Right. That's transformation, yeah. Okay.
So when we say governance, just that word already just brings association of government. But we're not just talking about government here, we're talking private sector as well. Maybe just speak to us about that whole concept.
Yeah, no, governance, honestly, and I like that you're saying that. It's a good question because I think people think it's this fluffy thing, and governance is leadership. Honestly, that is what governance means.
Boils down to,
but it's effective and ethical leadership according to the King definition, which is a best practice code. And it means this leadership has to have certain outcomes, and these outcomes looks like good performance, meaning that we're doing what we set out. Like, what is the purpose of this entity? Whether it's a family, a football team, a church, a school, or the government, is that this leadership gives good outcomes, there's effective control, there's an ethical culture, and there's legitimacy to why the entity exists. That is governance.
What's jumping in my head is consumer protection as well.
Which is part of like fairness, and because consumer protection has to do with the rights of the consumers and that they are treated fairly, which is part of ethical culture.
All right. Yeah. Still on word association and transformation, which is another word there. Namibia is emerging in its energy and extractive sector. So in that sense, the transformation very much. How does the NICG believe, what is necessary to ensure that this boon benefits people and not just investors?
Yeah, I think we need to have frameworks that are clear, that are enforceable, that are transparent, and that balance, economic outcome and accountability towards the people. So it looks like having transparent contract disclosures and local and beneficial ownership reporting. Right. It looks like maybe independent oversight of revenue management. It looks like environmental and social safeguards to ensure sustainability. It looks like, strong, like a robust legal and policy frameworks that are enforceable, that ensure, accountability and so on. Just, to name a few things. Yeah.
I'm interested in what the governance conversation sounds like. Outside, we just mentioned we're not talking about just government. We're not just talking about your councillors and your ministers. How does this conversation sound like when you're speaking to young professionals, entrepreneurs, civil society? What sort of the engagement there?
Yeah. I like that we don't have to rely just on the NICG alone. I know, like, the people that especially that we sit with in the House of Democracy, like the IPPR and the Namibia Institute of Democracy, they're very responsible or involved with civic education, and the IPPR always allows for access to information. And it's really sad that, or maybe sometimes it's good because then there's extra food. I mean, when they arrange these events and then a few people show up, but that space for young people, entrepreneurs, to get involved, to get to know more information. We do our fireplace conversations to sort of make it open to everyone. So there are platforms. Yeah, I mean, we probably can do better, but there are platforms, and civic education is it's not is being enhanced.
All right. So then, but then apart from the good lunches and the conference ideas, often after conferences, the challenge lies in the execution. How do you ensure that insights from this governance conference will translate into actionable reform?
Yeah. Well, we're going to have rapporteurs, so people who will document not the conversations, but the decisions, the suggestions that are made, and hopefully these can be inputs to policies and so on. And I mean, you would see, I mean, even the NDP6 has been, has inputs from such conversation, from civil society, from policymakers and so on. So we hope to do the same, and hopefully that it's an evolving journey in terms of how, you know, like you said earlier, about how governance evolves over time. Yeah.
Right. Maybe then just on the day, if you can maybe just elaborate on who you're basically targeting and what will sort of be the engagements there.
Yeah, it's not like you said, we're going to have thought leaders and so on, but we want governing bodies, we want civil society to be there, we want... This is our nation, and the theme is Transformative Era for Nation. So it's collaborative nation building. So if you're in this country, and I mean, you spoke to the construction people earlier, like all of these things are going to affect us. All these emerging trends, emerging sectors are going to affect us. So it's important. Yes, we're going to talk to private and public sectors and all of those role players. But it's important that everyone sort of.
All right. So your small business startup, he can come through.
It's important. It's important because, like I said, governance is leadership, and like I said, whether it's your family at home in terms of what is your vision as a family, or the church or the school, it's important to understand governance and what it looks like, because it benefits you, and then it affects society, because then the whole country could have an ethical culture.
So if leadership is what's on your mind right now, and that's your situation, that's the place for you then. All right.
But entities need to be led. So every entity needs leadership. Yeah.
All right. Maybe just any final thoughts in conclusion, or maybe just to get folks out there, and how do people get involved?
Yeah. So go to our website, www.nicg.org.na. So www.nicg.org.na. Yes.
Okay.
Our number is 081 666 8645. But yeah, I think I want to remind people that it is collaborative nation building. It is not just for the government to be the one that does that. It takes each one of us to be a responsible citizen to do what we can, whether it's saving water, whether it's not just trash talking the leaders, but to actually come up with solutions and be honorable in the way that we engage each other and be ethical in our conduct.
All right. Yeah. Be the leader.
Yeah, be the leader. Yeah. Be the change you want to see.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, Ms. Edla Kaumbi, thank you so much for joining us tonight.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me and for this space.
Indeed, indeed.